surfing, rashes. Oh, yeah, baby, I can't get enough. Blitzed. Ain't that so presents
Pure Tour Nerdism. Yes, welcome to Blitzed, Pure Tour Nerdism. Vaughan, the Pipe Pro is a wrap, and holy smokes, mate. It was, as good as it really gets. We saw what I'm calling the best wave ever ridden at Pipeline on First Reef anyway. Like, I've never seen anything like the one Barron and me had got in that event. And, just to pull the lens out a bit and explain the experience, because I think it's something that we can all relate to. When I wake up on the morning of a pipe comp and I know it's going to be pumping, I get the same feeling I did when I was a kid, waking up on Christmas Day. I roll out of bed in my underpants, scratch me chest, and start hopping around like Gollum on my way to the TV and laptop. Except now as an almost 38-year-old childless bachelor who's closest thing to children is a glass bong and a semi-obedient kelpie. It's a very different experience to a wholesome family Christmas. But maxed out pipe comps are the Core Lord's Christmas. A day where I truly relish in my selfish, indulgent lifestyle and the lack of responsibilities it entails. And
love it.
Mate, this was one right out of the top drawer. As you like to say, wow, I'm in the end. And it really did. Final 2 days of the waiting period, the WSL hung tough. And, mate, it paid off. It paid major dividends. At the start of the waiting period, we had Liam McNamara, we had Kelly Slater saying, it's a skunk fest. Yep. We're not getting waves. Although there is this little storm cell spinning off Japan, and it might just surprise us. Well, surprise us it did. A 4 out of 5 on the Shat rating. S for skits, H for hamad. A for, are you kidding me? And T for torture. An absolute cracker.
An absolute cracker, Smithy. Welcome back, Rashies. Welcome back, Hooters. Welcome back, Claims. Welcome back, Sus-Inno calls. Welcome back, priority blunders, mate. Some shocking priority blunders in this one. Welcome back, splashing the water with indignation after your shithouse priority blunder. There was a few of those as well. Mate, welcome back, Joey and Kipes and Flick and Jesse. And Ross Williams back in the booth. Fucking great to have Ross back. I really enjoyed his insights throughout the comp, especially in the channel. He had some real gold out there. Welcome back, Ian Gouveia, mate. Huh? Who would have thought your new favourite surfer would be the fucking stocky little Brazilian journeyman who's had like a 5-year break from the tour or something? Welcome back, Puckered Phil. Oh, he did well, though. Well played. I missed Phil. I missed him. I actually didn't realise until I was watching the comp. I was going, fuck, this cunt rips. I tap back into the things I love about Phil rather than things I don't like. And watching him getting a couple of sort of, scores that were maybe a little juiced at times, but fuck, he had a crack on a couple of good waves and did his job. And I felt happy that he was back, man. I didn't feel like, who is this cunt who's fucking always, clenching the corn with almost shut for life, Smithy. But good to see Phil. Welcome back. The 10-point cooler, mate. There was a couple of absolute bell-ringing 10s in there. Stoked the judges are throwing them out in the first comp of the year. They deserved them. Welcome back, TW. TW, right.
Oh, yeah.
And the women's tour vets. A little bit of flexing going on there. Just obviously had a full gut full of the young chicks. Welcome back, Aussie rookie, Mongrel, and Grit, Smithy.
How good was
it? We'll get stuck into that, mate. But Jolie Vaughan and Georgie Pitar.
Incredible debut performances, man.
Incredible. Welcome back, Dad Bod Goat. Oh, the KGs look good on the mid-rift of the goat, mate. Yeah, he's been having a nice little time out there in the pastures, hasn't he? He's loving life in the retirement zone, but fuck, he just paddled out and old goat reappeared. Welcome back, Smithy. Waves of Truth.
So
the
much
dream
truth.
to honestly, after this Hawaiian season, I thought, what sort of cruel, karmic, kick in the nuts has this ocean delivered the WSL? But guess what, mate? They fucking have done something right. This dream tour is looking set, and the first comp delivers. Welcome back, Pipeline. Welcome back, the Was. And welcome... Sayonara, John Florence.
Yeah, gone.
Check you later, brah. See you later. Have a good year on the slab tour. But, man, oh, what a spectacle, man. Haters be damned, Smithy. I actually think, after such a long off season and a lot of, good comps and good stuff going on that whole time, the actual just man-on-man, woman-on-woman combat of the WSL, particularly when the waves are firing, is fucking a joy to watch. When the stakes are so high for everyone, even in the first comp of the year, there's nothing like it, mate. Like the comps that we're seeing with all the loose units and the fucking experts at particular waves all bundled in and having a surf like the Pipe Masters as it exists now in December, they're fun to watch. But the level of just what's at stake, like your whole year can get brought undone in the first fucking comp of the year, man.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
We're looking at mortally consequential waves and acts of courage and commitment and pure skill that are just, that's the pointy edge of high performance surfing right there. Like that's as high performance and as critical as it gets. It's the ultimate showpiece.
Yeah.
The world's best at the world's heaviest waves. There is no wave on earth like Pipeline. There just is nothing that comes close to it in that size range.
You're dead right.
And the skill and ability on show was stupefying. And that, it validates the WSL. Whatever happens this year, it almost doesn't matter, because that day of surfing is why we watch competitive surfing. It's the fucking creme de la creme. The cron de la cron. The cone de la cone.
It was that sick,
Cone
man.
of the cone.
Oh, it was just truth, Smithy. It was pure truth. And just the narrative of it all, man. Like, even in the first rounds when it was just playful, fun, not much going on, but still kind of fun. I was just loving seeing who's going to bring what. Like, what does an off-season look like when you get back to the tour? Who's got the fucking fire just absolutely flaring out of their ears and their nose holes? And cornhole, obviously. But it just was, riveting, man. And yeah, that last 2 days, fuck, even with the energy kind of, out of the ocean on that last day and a couple of heats going a long way without decent waves coming, I was just absorbed, man. I couldn't get off the couch. I was texting you, and you were going, I can't get off the couch. I can't even go and fucking rinse my armpits. And I was going, mate, I know the feeling. I was locked in. I loved it. It was an absolute spash. 4.5 shats for me out of 5. I was just fucking frothing, bro.
Mate, how are those marathon couch sessions? You wake up, it's at the perfect time zone in Australia. You wake up and it's on. And it's firing, and you're just straight on the couch, and you can't move. You move, you miss something.
Oh, you miss it.
So you just have to lock in, and there's times when the energy levels dip, and thank God for those pungent pits, because that's how I'd kind of re-energize myself when I'd feel the energy levels dipping. I'd run out of adrenochrome, so I'd just quick sniff of the pits and smelling salts. So I was straight back into the game. And full marathon sessions, holy shit, man. I was averaging around 6 hours a day on the couch. Solid.
No,
full
it
crevasse
was.
in the couch.
It was, mate. Great comp. Congrats to all, but let's rip into it, eh?
Best wave, not a shadow of a doubt. Barron me is 10.
question.
Not only the best wave of the event, it was the best wave, as I said, that I've ever seen ridden at Pipeline. Just the epitome of the first reef triangulated stack up with no entry point. You watch it on the drone angle as this thing comes in. It's got a lot of west in it. It's kind of washing through it off the wall and creating that kind of side wedge Mondo triangle of doom, it was every bit of 10 foot that wave, the absolute pinnacle of a first reef dagger, the sword of Damocles swinging perilously over the back of Barron's neck as he hucked himself into a beyond vert drop that even a bodyboarder would have struggled to find a rail in. If he blows the drop there, he's a guarantee of suffering a serious injury, maybe death. It does not get heavier than that. And what people have to realize too, I was at this corresponding event last year on the beach, and what people have to realize is that from ground level, it's twice the size of what you're seeing on the broadcast. Everything on the broadcast, it's shot from the top of the beach,
That's
looking
what drives
down
me
at the
mad,
wave.
actually. Even some of the shots are so high up that it just dwarfs the actual scale of the thing. That wave was massive, man.
Mate, what that would have looked like from ground level would have been you know, when you're terrified for someone else, like you actually feel fear for them. Like it would have felt like that, but also like a full feeling of what Immanuel Kant, the great French philosopher, calls the sublime, where you're you're overawed by emotion and sensation to the point there's no words to describe a feat like that. To witness it in the flesh, mate, incredible. And mate, no hesitation, just fully hucks it, finds his rail at the bottom. It gets the make, but the thing I noticed about it, like he's so far under it, you know, like although it drains and goes beyond vert, he's only got like 4 or so feet of weightlessness in the drop before he hits the trough and finds a rail. So it was just an absolute clinic in commitment and positioning.
I thought, like, in the slow-mo of that, he's in the barrel, free falling.
Yeah.
He's in the pit. Like, he's actually, it's already hucked over
Mate,
him.
it's 8 foot wide by the time he gets to the bottom.
And by
of
the time his railing gauges, he's so heavy on the front leg. I just thought his femur was going to snap and he was going to have a compound fracture, just fucking bone sticking out through his thigh muscle. Because the G's that would have been going down on his body just from the compression of landing and having to engage. Like, there's no cheat code there. Like, if you don't fucking commit, you're gone. And that leg, mate, I'll tell you, all those leg presses that, you know, we watch Italo do over and over. Well, Barron's probably on the same program in the gym, because there's no way your fucking human body can put up with that much force and that much stress. And the water, don't forget, is moving back up the face. So he's engaging the rail. He's not just falling into still water. He's like, it's moving in the opposite direction. So there's that pressure as well that he has to click onto the heel and somehow get the forward momentum. Like, that was, when I was thinking about, well, you know, when they show early footage of, like, you know, Tom Carroll, who is so aggressive at pipeline, like more so than almost anyone ever before or since. Maybe Andy, but even Andy, you know, was still sublime, still had like that real nice butteriness to him, whereas Tom would just bottom turn, jag it, all that sort of thing. This just had pure aggression in it, like really solid intent. And I think you're right, mate. I just can't think of a more critical drop. Like, remember that one years ago Slater did? It's in that ballpark, but the wave is way more fucking apex.
Mate, I think if you actually compared those two waves, this thing would be way more psycho. And I just love the intuition, you know, like the understanding that, yeah, I'm like just the thousands and thousands of hours he's put into that lineup that got him to a point where he knew that although this is probably the heaviest wave he's ever caught, that he can huck himself, he's in the spot, he can huck himself into the trough and know that, like, the forward momentum with all of his weight going forward and the distance he's got to travel to get to the bottom of this thing, that he's gonna find a rail. And if he can find a rail, he can come out. And this is like in his bones. This is his intuition. He understands this at a cellular level.
Yeah.
And for it to unfold the way it did and him to get the make and a perfect 10 against John Florence in exact circumstances to the previous year in the final, that again got him the win over John. It was so cosmic. It's like, no, this is the new king of pipeline. John, like, as good as he's been and as good as he is, he now has to pass the crown to Barron. It's undeniable that Barron is the greatest pipe surfer on planet Earth and, you know, logically of all time, because we don't get worse at surfing. The level's only going higher. So to watch it unfold in real time, also crazy to note, they were in the non-priority heat at that point.
Yeah.
And Zhao Chianca had first dibs on that wave and passed it up. You see him have a look at it. They draw alongside each other, and Barron sees Zhao still paddling out to sea and decides to go. And full credit to Zhao for not going on that thing, man, because the head noise as a result of, you know, the brain injury and also a bad facial laceration heading into this event, mate, I'm glad he didn't pull the trigger on that. I just don't think he's there mentally. Like, skills-wise, he could get it done on a wave like that, I'm calling. But, mate, there was just so much going on in that moment. Oh, fuck. One of the great moments of all time in the annals of pipeline surfing.
It was, man.
That should never be forgotten.
How's just how quick it is. Like, you know, he barely has time to enjoy the barrel before he's already just getting absolutely spewed on by a seacock mist. And I was just like, wow, so intense, so gnarly, but like almost zero vision for him because he's already fucking standing there just arms to the air, heavens, just what happened?
Yeah.
What happened just then?
And that's the nature of those ones. When you're taking off behind the dagger and you're throwing yourself from behind it into the trough. It's what also makes it so critical is the dagger, the TP of doom.
That's it.
Blown out before he got the vision. But, the judges were all about the criticalness of the drop and being behind it. And that was a trend that played out throughout this contest. And there was I saw Peter King blowing up that John's wave, the 963 in that heat, wasn't a 10, but the drop just lacked that critical nature. There was a little bit of an on-ramp that let him in, and then he was able to kind of rip off a couple pumps and just go through the fucking end section of doom. A crazy wave.
It's definitely in the combo of best waves of the event.
Yeah, it was in my list for sure.
But yeah, Barron by far, mamma mia. And but we got to doff the cap in the best wave category to the Vortex.
Have
Shaman,
to.
mate. It was like, I don't know what it is about the Vortex, just, when he's back so hard against the wall, sometimes his nipples are basically pressing through his chest onto the fucking same wall. And he just finds a way, mate. He just conjures. And that thing was probably the tallest wave of the comp. Like, I can't think of a wave as tall as that. A completely different sort of swell generation onto the reef compared to Barron's one. But still one of those ones that lurched at the last second. He basically base jumps from the edge of the cliff straight into the trough, just connects the rail like some sort of like fucking plastic surgeon, dude. Zero scarring on that bottom turn. Slices up into the fucking pit. Travel time just unbelievable. On a day like at that stage of the morning, there was still heaps of closeouts down that end section. And he just comes fanging out the classic Robbo, finger to the air. And you just, by this stage, just going, oh, mate, this dude's just cantering through this heat now. Like, by that, Al Cleland had that 9.6. Jack gets a 10, like, within a few minutes. And you were just thinking, job done. But the Shaman couldn't conjure another wave, Smithy.
Yeah, he got fully ripped off. But as you mentioned, Vaughan, I can't remember a bigger backdoor wave than that. It looked like it was going to feather and wash through for a second there. And it stood up on the very furthest, like, back millimeters of the ledge at backdoor. Stood so tall. And Jack, in his vortex shamanism, paddles out to meet it, spins, hucks it, and, like, even having the confidence to know that thing's going to open up. Like, at that point, as he was spinning and going, I'm like, is this thing even going to pit, or is it just going to fucking roll through and kill him? But, the Shaman knows things that we don't. He, as you mentioned, commits, drops in, and it holds its shape and flutes off the end, that kind of flute shape. Like, it was like Jaws-esque, like the size of the cone, the height, what he was seeing in there, it would have been a full-blown aircraft hangar.
Oh, it's mad.
An amazing backdoor chamber. And just like the size of the wave, the drop, all of it combined, it had to be a 10. I'm a big fan of not giving out 10s willy-nilly, but the 2 10s they gave out, they had to be, because they were moments of surfing that we didn't think were possible until they unfolded. It was future. It was stuff that was straight out of the future or the present. It was the like I said, the pointy fucking end, not just of performance surfing, but of surfing that can kill you if you get it wrong.
That's such a good point, Smithy. And this is why, like, I think I'm so buzzing on this whole comp, is because the Jack Robbo 10, the Barron 10, and the John 9, what was that one? A 996 or something like that?
963, I think.
Yeah, 963. And then even Goat's big one in his heat.
Unbelievable.
Like,
the 933.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I was going, how good is it when all you crave is truth and you see the wave coming, like the wave that only those guys can ride. There's 4 guys who can ride those waves, and they're the 4 guys.
Mate,
maybe Nate Flores as well.
And maybe Al Cleland in the mix there, like a full balls to the wall fucking pirate maniac.
He is, but he's also an unknown really for us.
Not proven yet.
But knowing when that set was coming and you could see it coming, and knowing it's Jack in position with no one in his space and he can just put himself in the spot, knowing that Barron's the guy like who's going to turn and flip it in that moment. And then John's one, the read on it was like, to go from that deep see that thing flare into that
and
like
pump through it.
and
Just
like
take
how
it
often
on.
do you see John put the gas down?
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh wow.
What is this? Because you can't
Yeah.
quite see it. You can just see him winding up and flying, and you're like,
foot through the
and
floor,
you
mate.
know it's huge. But
Yeah.
the thing was, because it had that on ramp, the thickness of it was through the middle section.
Yeah.
That thing just went plutonium
Oh
grade.
my god! And just like that feeling that you were talking about, that feeling of being scared for other people. But when it's those four, you sense the magic that's about to happen.
Mate, and you do. You
Yeah.
just want to toss flowers from your balcony. You just want to like lead a ticker tape parade. Like these are the
know,
heroes of the world in that moment to me.
Get out your little flutes and
Yeah.
just start jigging down the street and just watch other surf fans come out of their houses and join the jig.
Exactly.
It's
Mate,
so
it's
good.
amazing. They're the heroes of the
Oh
world.
my
And
God,
they're
dude, it's
heroes
true.
because these are the kinds of waves
Yeah.
that I cannot even fathom surfing. Like, there's nothing I would less rather do than be confronted with a situation like that in life.
Mm.
And Slater's wave, we'll get to it because he features heavily in this program. But,
Cool.
mate, the 933, fucking, like, for sure, one of the waves of the contest, all things considered, you know, under the ledge, knifes it, weightless for a second, that kind of side slippy line, that kind of little disconnect that is essential to making those backdoor waves. There's like this, it cups out so hard that there's just this moment where often there's either a proper disconnect or there's just this kind of weightlessness where there's just one fin in the water and you're almost sideways for a second and it recorrects, the rails engage, and they just stand tall in the Cathedral of Dreams.
Wow. That was sick. Oh, that gets me excited. I'm so thrilled. I'm so grateful. I'm feeling the mana. I'm feeling the aloha, Smithy.
Absolutely. Best
It's good
heat,
stuff.
again, a few contenders,
yeah.
a few absolute showstoppers. It had to be Barron and John Florence
to
for
be.
mine.
Yeah.
You know, two of the best to ever do it, going toe-to-toe in maxed out, fully deadly pipeline, and just sending it with peerless prowess and dexterity.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't even about the contest at this point. This was just like an Ali Foreman heavyweight bashathon between two guys with legitimate claims to being the best to ever do it out there. And that's what was being settled in this heat.
Oh, big time. Like, on the back of last year's final, there was flex at stake here. And John, you know, 10 years older, maybe not quite, but like a full generation above Barron. And losing a pipe title where, you know, John, in his brain, or maybe not in his brain, but certainly in everyone else's brains, it should be a 3-4 time pipe master or Pipe Pro winner. And he's got one. You know, if you're just thinking CT scale, I know he's won many, many events there in all sorts of conditions, but these are the ones that matter. And he paddles out, and as you said, mate, it was like the pre-heat, the priority heat just did not exist. Like the ocean just got a whiff that there was two rhinos like snorting and like breathing fire and stomping a bit of dust into the air, and it just went, fucking, here you go, boys. Let's see what you got. And they just went berserk. It was the best theatre I've seen in it so long. And I just think that little backstory of that last year's pipe final just added that extra bit of spice to it.
Did it what? Here's how it unfolded. So, yeah, Barron opens with, as mentioned, the most critical upside-down drop into a pipe dagger. Thing was 8 foot wide before it even got to the bottom of it. Gets the 10. The ultimate pipe first reef stacker. Josh Moniz called it the heaviest wave ever paddled at pipe. I'm not going to disagree.
No way.
He then backs it up, Barron, with a filthy backdoor orb. As I mentioned, the line that the top guys take out there, it's a bit of a fade takeoff. You notice they have to kind of angle towards pipe to get under and around this thing, and there's almost that slight disconnect on the drop. And I've sat on the shoulder, as have you, Vaughn, and watched dozens of waves like this square out on that real traditional backdoor section. There's the on-ramp, there's like, you know, wedges and chip shots out there for sure. They're the fucking dreamy ones, which you'll never get if you're a foreigner. But then there's also these ones that just like, that they huck so hard on that first section. They're so cupped out. It's 15 black belt shit. You'll see your Billy Kempers, your Luke Skywalkers, your Barrons, your Johns, your Nate Fozzers, your Jamie O's on those kinds of waves. that they've got it so dialed. It's such a technical drop. It's very new school. I feel like the approach to backdoor is like constantly evolving. And Luke Skywalker, by the way, he has that. He's put out a crazy edit. I don't know if you've seen that thing. Underground pipe guy, just like really epitomizes that underground Hawaiian fucking grit merchant
His name's
energy.
Luke Skywalker.
Oh, what is it? Luke something or other, but that's his Instagram handle. That's what he's known as. But the reason I bring it up is that same day of the contest, he went out afterwards, broke his fucking back, broke his L2 vertebrae. No. So just goes to show the kind of consequence that was occurring out there. So anyway, Barron manages the drop seamlessly, sticks that knifed out drop, sticks the pie in the oven for a psycho make and a 783. That's a huge total. This is all in the non-priority heat from memory. John answers with a 743 for a backdoor nug, which can't really remember, can't have been all that memorable, but definitely psycho, no doubt. And he's still comboed at that point. And then, as mentioned, he finds the fucking water cannon. Gets in with a nice knife into an 8 to 10 foot down the line backdoor grower, fully commits and rips off a couple of light speed pumps for a harrowing run through a huge middle and end bowl. Judges throw a near perfect 963 at him. As mentioned, drop just wasn't as critical as Barron's. So it could never go into the same range at Barron's as Barron's. Those two waves needed some separation in the scale, and I'm glad they come up with it.
I think they got it. Like, we're talking about like, what is it? Less than 0.5 of a point difference between the two. So, I mean, the judges got it absolutely bang on for me. Like, you could have thrown a 10 at it for just theatre, but you had to separate those two ways because they were in the same heat. If they were in as separate heats, you probably would have given John a 10, but you couldn't do it at that point.
Totally.
No chance.
Totally. And I'd also like to just make a note for the commentators. Can they stop saying that John Jott never claims? Like, mate, the cunt claims almost everything these days. And he's been doing it for a couple of years now. Triple John knows how to sell it to the judges. And he's not afraid to do it. I saw him
claim is looking straight up at the tower. That's a fucking claim.
Any gesture to the beach, unless you're just going to kick off the back and grab your board on the kick out and keep paddling. It's all claiming.
And you know that when he gets his fucking clothing packs and stuff from Yeti, he asked for the receipt so he can claim his tax as well, Smithy. He's fucking all over the claims, brother. Dad 100%. Joke, bro. Dad joke. Get that in here.
Barron then edges up the requirement with a juicy backdoor nug for a 797, knifes it from deep behind the dagger, comes to a thick cement mixing grinder and takes the win from there. Thoughts on that heat? I mean, we've pretty much covered it.
Yeah, if we get to the end of the year and there's a better heat, I will actually be amazed. Like, the idea of maybe, like, a couple of big power mongers, like, I don't know, Ethan Ewing and freaking maybe Philippe going hammer and tongs at sort of 6 to 8 foot J-Bay. I just can't see anything that's going to have that much fucking drama going on. The backstory... what are going to be the rivalries this year? That had a genuine sort of arm wrestle quality about it, where you had an old guy, an established fucking champion, and a young buck, and they're both trying to be the new king at pipe. There's lots on the line there, man. And on the North Shore, that matters. It might not matter to the rest of the surfing world, but those two would definitely be looking to come out of that heat going, okay, that's we've reestablished the order here. Even Liam McNamara was going, there's no doubt. I think you sent me a quote that he put on his Instagram saying that there is no doubt Barron Mamiya is the best pipe surfer in the world right now. So, yeah, best heat by far.
But I'd just like to also acknowledge the men's final.
Yes. I've got that in my mind too, yeah, for sure. Because the biggest issue with the men's final for me was that anyone was blowing up about Leo getting ripped. Like, mate, there is a major difference between dragging arms and getting maximum tube time and fucking muscling your way through fucking Shando Town and just shit going crazy all around you. Barron got the biggest wave of the final. It was a fucking cunt of a thing to ride. He was on a full-blown Brahman bull that had a fucking one of those hot pokers stuck right in its cornhole, and he fucking muscled it to the win. There was no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. I can't believe it got as close as it did on the scoring scale. I thought there was daylight between them. Leo surfed amazingly well, but yeah, his entire line into the wave at backdoor, he never once really knifed in behind it. It was kind of like that straight down, little tail drop kind of pie in the oven, then pumping to make the tube, whereas Barron's whole MO was knifing in from behind, whether it was pipe or backdoor. He was always behind it. The drop was so critical. His pipe wave was essentially, in the final, was essentially just a microscopic version of the 10. The exact same line, just hucks from behind into the trough, bounces off the foam ball, spat out. But this is how it went down, just to rediscover it, let's say. Barron gets off to an absolute flyer. He gets straight into that pipe nug, which they were rare on finals day. Kind of random for him to go with that strategy. Also, a crazy battle for position on that opening wave. Leo's so good at managing the opening priority tussle, but in this situation, Barron wins the positioning shenanigans, knifes in behind the dagger for an 8, and then he follows it up with an impossibly deep backdoor tube for a 9.8. Like, it doesn't matter where he is on the reef. If he can get a rail in and a pump, he's coming out of almost anything. You're backing him. As long as he can get a good smooth entry and one pump, the chances are he's going to get another and another. Like, he just, the momentum and the G-forces that he generates out of that nuggety, stocky frame are insane in the tube, mate. He's so powerful in the tube.
And just his positioning in tubes is fucking unbelievable. John's the only guy I've seen do what he does inside the tube, where he'll just drift up. Like, he's not even, he'll come off the bottom if it's a really deep one and fully work the rail. But then there's other ones where he just slowly drifts up towards the top, and there's no pressure or stress there at all. It's an incredible read that those guys have.
It is. Yeah. And it all comes down as well, doesn't it, to a pure love of those situations. Like, these guys would be out there doing the same thing, jersey or no jersey. The beauty of having a jersey on is that it removes all the clowns from the lineup, so they can just get exactly where they want to be on the waves that they want to be on. So he's cashing in a 17.97 combined total within 10 minutes. He was averaging around about 18 points per heat from the round of 16 onwards. I think there was one kind of slow heat, maybe in the quarters, but fucking astronomical numbers. I'm pretty sure they're the top numbers for the entire event. Like, he probably has the top 4 highest combined heat totals for that event. But he gets a bit complacent. So did I. I went to the kitchen, started making breakfast.
First time finally peeled yourself off the couch.
First time I'd eaten in 2 days. And
just shroud of John, like sitting on the couch where your back used to be.
Yeah, exactly. A perfect imprint of John's head in my couch. So he starts fucking around a bit, just going on inconsequential backdoor pits under priority, and you can't begrudge him for it. The opportunity to just stuff your face out there with no one out, like, you're gonna take it. But it ends up kickstarting a bit of rhythm for Leo. After falling on one of his little backdoor nugs, Barron comes up to see Leo on the wave behind, putting the pie in the oven, then ripping off a couple of pumps for a long backdoor pit and an 8.87 that was very generously judged, I'm saying. I think that's when the scale gets a bit squirrely, is for that wave. Yep. That shouldn't have probably been as high as that. It just, the wave itself
it just pulls the combo straight out of it, and then all of a sudden heat back on.
Totally. The wave lacked consequence, like, for one. And I just thought it was strange to be giving out numbers that high when the takeoff wasn't that critical either. You had to stall at the start rather than race from start to finish. Leo then kicks out of that wave, gets priority again. And catches almost the same wave again. It was almost identical. Little fade takeoff, drops straight down, as opposed to knifing it from behind the dagger. Puts the pie in the oven, couple of pumps through an even longer drainer, barreled across the whole reef, a couple of foam ball taps, needs a 9.11, gets a 9.10. So a dead heat.
Yeah.
With Barron. Barron wins on a count back. So, mate, look, let's say this, that I'm just glad that it went Barron's way, because if it didn't, I'm tipping the judges would have been holed up in the cool Lima, packing tennis rackets under their trench coats like bugs in the gang. way back
There's
when.
no doubt.
They would have
like-
been filthy on the beach.
Yeah. The judging in this comp was really good. Like, I thought it was exceptional, actually. I thought, calls that were sort of here or there kind of went the right way. Like, I didn't see too many things where I was, upset with it. And even in the final, it got too close, or a lot closer than it should have been. Some people feel like Leo got ripped off, but that's not in the context of the heat. That's in the context of, like, looking at that wave under pressure with time on the clock and Leo feeling like he was turning it. It was just a no-brainer. Like, there was no question for me. And, I think you're right. They could have. I'm so glad they didn't get it wrong, because Mamiya was outstanding in every heat. His heat totals were the biggest. He was pushing the absolute envelope every time he paddled out. And Leo just surfed really solid. Like, none of his waves actually stand out to me from the entire event, even though he did beautiful surfing.
Amazing surfing.
Yeah, really, really
A
nicely.
pleasure to watch. So buttery.
Real buttery, and easy guy to like too. He's just like, he was in that Kanoa, Jack Robbo, Mikey Wright. Who else was in that school with him? Kanoa, Jack, Mikey. Matt Banting, and
Back on the tools in Port Mac, concrete. What happened to Matty Banting? Fucking legend. Get him on the tour.
He was there, and then he had injuries, and he lost sponsors, and he's the great Euro hope, and he's sort of like just had these up and down years. Good to see him going well.
He's got K-Way on the Beakies.
Yeah, what is that? Do you know what that is?
K-Way, no.
Ketamine company?
Maybe.
Let's
hope
is
so.
Is that what he's doing?
Fucking
Is that where he's getting his fucking get up and go from?
If that nose is built for one thing, it's hoovering up lines of ketamine, that big Roman bugle. Are you kidding me?
Well, it's working a treat.
Oh, it is.
It's working wonders. But
Good for
no,
the Gary Jack too.
Full props to him. Love seeing him do well, but I just thought it was Mamiya's comp. And it would have been an outright travesty. So I think it would have been pretty.
Mate, the tiki
upset.
torches would have been coming down
Big time.
the Cam Highway looking
Yeah.
for the judging scaffolding.
And in one last heat, Smithy, I don't know if you had this in yours, but the Katie Molly semi-final,
I did.
mate. Far out. There's nothing better than seeing a legitimate rivalry starting to form up. This had it all, man. This was just a high noon, gunslinging tube shootout, and not the most consequential backdoor. But how awesome and how quick have they developed knowledge for that little slab of reef? Like, on that day, they surfed it, or those particular waves they surfed as good as anyone.
Absolutely.
I don't think you could surf those heats really much different. Like, hug the wall and get a little bit more barreled. Like, whatever, man. Like, I thought Molly's read was fucking beautiful. I thought Katie's surfing just in general. Oh, man. I was really on board the Erin bandwagon just because I love the scoopy verticalness of her surfing. But how refreshing is it to see a professional surfer in a heat take off and just stand dead still at the bottom of a wave? Like, no different to Tom Curran. There was a lot of those getting thrown around, Tom Curran comparisons. And I could really see it, man, because I've been away with Tom a lot. And I was talking to Steph about what separates Tom. She goes, he just has time. Like, he takes off and his shoulders are almost square to the beach. Like, he takes off and he's like going that way. And then when he sees the wave doing something that he likes, he just swings the shoulders and the whole body rotates. And Katie does exactly the same shit, dude. Like, there was so many times where she was just standing at the bottom of backdoor and then at the very last second just engaging with the pit. And I was like, that is really new school in women's surfing, I think. Like, Lisa Anderson maybe had a little bit of that, but there's a lot to love about Katie surfing. But these two in particular bring such different things to the party, eh? Like, you've got a proper little comp weapon, driven to succeed, wants to do it in terms of Molly, like in the gym, just getting everything dialed in. You can tell that her approach is joyful because she loves competition, but there's a definite intent there that she's got the processes. And I think Katie's just a little more natural in the way she reacts on the actual wave face. But epic kind of contrast that makes their battles even more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, no, I love that insight into Katie's style and the comparison with Curran. I mean, I was on the beach last year to watch this corresponding heat.
Right.
And I was thinking about it a lot during the pipe event and how fucking wild that wave that Molly Picklum got at backdoor in the final was. The 9.6. I think it might be the heaviest wave I've seen in the flesh. Like, it's one of them. And I've watched multiple backdoor shootouts. Like, I've watched multiple pipe masters. But, like, again, from beach level, the wind was fucking onshore.
Yeah.
And she commits to an 8-foot backdoor thing that's like, you know it's going to go hollow, but it looks for all money like it could easily just chandelier on her. And to see her knife like bounce across a little fucking sideshore onshore rib, find a rail, beat the chandelier and get the make on that. I think she got a 9.6, and I'm claiming that was a 10 every day of the week, and that she actually probably should have won that heat, given that score come in a bit low, I thought. And just like Molly's courage and her commitment and the tenacity, the drive in that chick is so impressive to me. It is like the epitome of like the working class Australian athlete. I love what she represents. And it was all on show on that wave. I remember she come up the beach with Marco, and I must have been one of the first people to talk to her. She walked straight out of the water, and I'm like, fuck, like, I'm just there as a fan. I don't want to really engage, but of course, I know Marco pretty well, so there I am, confronted with the fucking queen, and like it was all I could do to not drop to my feet and drop to my hands and knees and start kissing her feet. Like the lack of worthiness I felt in her presence, and all I could say was like, "You're a fucking psycho, dude. That was fucking nuts." And she just was like, mostly disappointed at that point that she didn't win that heat. I felt, but fast forward to this year, and it's a rematch in very playful backdoor conditions. And look, I mean, sometimes that tenacity and drive can go against you. And I think it kind of did in that heat. That first exchange, Molly and Katie engage in a pretty fierce little tangle for that first wave. Molly ends up playing the man and not the ball, however. She wins the race for what turns out to be a lemon. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, as the saying goes. It was a bit of a case of that, because Katie's on the very next wave, swoops into a fun backdoor cone for an 8-1-7 and a resounding lead. Molly fires back with a juicy, super deep nug. She gets in early and easily. She stalls and pumps, surfs it beautifully for an 8-3-3. A sick hack on the end too. Up the pickle. Fist pumping after that one. Then Katie drops a 9-5 for a sick weightless knife into a backdoor runner. Pumped a couple of times for a sick making, and that super stylish grab rail down carve on the end. Lady Curran-esque. Pickles on the next one. She maybe could have been deeper and backdoored that first section, I thought, rather than drop down, take the Leo line and park it. It was a solid score, but not enough ultimately. And as we mentioned, the judges generally wanted to see a knife and race rather than drop down and stall. She had another bite at the cherry pickle, but ended up stalling in a backdoor nugget that she probably should have been pumping in. Didn't get the make. Could have improved one of her scores and changed the requirement, but that's pressure for you.
There's no question after watching this comp that Katie Simmons is the best tube rider, women's tube rider on tour. Like, no question to me, man. Like her read in the tube, like the way she's so light, she can pump the gas. Like she had like whiffs of John about, the read when she was really deep. She could just accelerate out of nowhere on these tiny little. They're almost like little shimmies. They're not like full pumps. It was a really good heat. I think I love the hacker towers going down on the end too. Like Katie and Molly both going to the rail on those nice little scoopy clean faces was a joy to watch. I was fist pumping as well there too, Smithy. But the one thing Molly's got to watch here in this rivalry is that it's 5 blot for Katie now. Like, she's got 10 events left this year to arrest that immediately. Like, I would say now, not later. Like, get onto it, because if they get to cloud break and she hasn't worked out how to, contain Katie Simmers and not let her just run away with these heats as close as they can be at times, the head noise at Cloudy, mate, will be deafening. Like, you can't paddle out against someone who's just got the wood on you and feel confident that you got them. Like, there's just noise. There's noise everywhere. Like, it'll delaminate. So that's like the main focus for Molly. But on the positive, true grit Molly, like cocky, fucking onto it. And she's brought to life by the juice. She's brought to life by the truth. Hawaii is her happy place, man. And I hope she can take that energy now to the wave pool. Probably the most, like the wave with the least amount of energy on Earth is going to be fucking the next challenge. Look forward to seeing her do it. Good heat.
Breakthrough performance, Fawn. For mine, it has to go to Ian Gavea. And what a performance it was with 22 stitches in the back of his leg from a fin chop. Like, that's fucking gnarly. Like, I've had 22 stitches in my shin, and fuck me, like, I was not considering surfing, let alone surfing maxing pipe.
Yeah.
Like, you're risking all kinds of complications and infections and the wound ripping open again. That has to play into your mind at some level. But you didn't hear him mention it, not once. It was brought up by Mendez on the commentary team. But yeah, judges were loving his backdoor corner rinses on the big day. It was interesting to see the backside approach at backdoor because it's not something you see a whole lot of, with good reason. It is a very tricky wave backside, like the speed management. You generally need to be able to find a pump or two in the pit to get a proper score. But the drop generally involves grabbing rail and knifing in from behind or under it. So it becomes very technical to gain speed while grabbing rail backside. Or conversely, as Gavea was doing, he was getting in a bit wider and then washing speed off. And then as the thing overtook him, he'd have to kind of get more speed somehow. There's like very awkward backside. But he did it well. Got the better of some big names, including the GOAT Slater in their quarter. He got a mental one at pipe too. I think he got a 9 at pipe.
It was almost like an eights one. It was almost like from way over, beyond backdoor, in that little Damon Harvey Wakita bowl. It was a real trippy one. It was so far over. Like when he came out, he was in line with Kelly, who was on the peak. So that's a weird spot.
Yeah. A very awkward drop and ripped off a couple of pumps and just manufactured an exit for it.
It was cool.
A 6 score.
What a lovable dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
IBA.
I was, it's classic. Like, just on your point about the backside shoe riding, so it just seems to be Italo and Ian leading the charge there. I know Miguel took a couple as well. There wasn't a whole lot of pipe going on, but it's funny. Like, it's never really been utilised by the Goofs backdoor, considering it's such a consistent high scoring option. But I guess that slab on the inside it's a genuine fear that you're going to face plan on it if your back's to the wall. Trippy.
It's so hard. When I kind of mind surf it, I imagine knifing in behind the dagger and you're grabbing rail, and then you got to pretty much let go of the rail and pump and grab it again and come out.
And you've got to, like, if it's not one of those days where it just tapers off, you're doggy dooring.
Yeah.
So you're going to get slammed. Like Joel Vaughan got fucking owned by an end section, like, clamp.
Mate, that thing was fucking insane.
Goodness,
that was like copping an Adrian Morley stiff arm off the kickoff in a Great Britain Australia grudge match.
It was a classic coat hanger, wasn't it?
Remind me of Robbie Kearns getting lit up by Morley on the kickoff that time.
It was the Joseph Sawali fucking. What's the little point?
Yeah, Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh just shoulder to the sternum, just fucking head flung back, completely KO'd. But that was a fucking... Yeah, so anyway, like, my biggest breakthrough was Georgie Patar. All-day Patar, mate. Yep. I just thought... a huge doff to both those rookies. I was so stoked for Jolie Vaughan. Like, he got Ross Williams' eyebrows raised, which, Joel Vaughan charging fucking monstro slabs when you come from the Sunny Coast. No surprise to anyone who knows who he is and where he's from, who his mentors have been. But, for the Hawaiians and for all these people who probably haven't paid much attention to him sneaking through those crappy beaches on the Challenger, he's probably just the air guy because he's got a couple of 10s with big oops and big backside punts. But Ross Williams, I thought it was cool that he was like going, whoa, this guy sends it. Okay, all right. He was like, oh, okay.
Mate, the drop on that backdoor wave was like a doubled up fucking 8-foot thing. Like it was so thick behind him and he skips out a little bit. There's like this little airdrop disconnect thing.
Yeah.
To have the composure not to freak out and glitch out and just like commit that hard and be that under it. Get the little fucking airdrop, get the rail in and just pump through what would have been the most flat bottom, dry, squared out backdoor nug. Like it would have been terrifying in there.
Yeah. He he got memorable waves in this pipe comp.
Oh,
man.
that
And
backdoor
it-
one was fucking
Yeah.
nuts, mate.
And the pipe one was
screaming.
sick. And he was just, the thing I love about Georgie Pitar and Joel Vaughan is like, they're rookies. They come through with like, at a time where the industry's not paying fucking grommets the same that they were paying in that Kanoa sort of era. They're the best performing Aussies in this comp. Like, they fucking came 5th and 9th. And they did it with real grittiness. And both of them have this personality that is unflappable, Smithy. Like, they paddle out. They don't give a fuck who they're surfing against. They do it because they are absolutely frothing to it. The head noise just doesn't seem to exist for either of them. You compare that to some of the other Aussies on tour. I did me nuts on Callan and O'Leary. Just guys who are fucking so talented, but for some reason, there's a disconnect in how to get the result or how to just bury yourself in total, like, what it takes to win. I don't know what it is that's missing.
I couldn't believe it. Conor
O'Leary
O'Leary going down to Kanoa Igarashi in the Trader Bowl. Unbelievable.
Oh, no. The Trader Bowl. Anyway, huge doff to Georgie Pitar and Joel Vaughan. They were my breakthrough performers. I just thought they were fucking unbelievable.
So let's revisit Pitar's performance in a bit more detail because he gets Griffin Colapinto for the second time in as many starts.
Psycho, isn't it?
He's 2-zip up against
That's
Griff.
a huge melt for Griff, like, big one.
Yeah, well, I mean, or he's just getting done by a guy who's on the come up and he's a freakish talent. I mean,
well, it's both because Griffin rips out at pipe.
He's
and
so good out there.
Like, how?
And he may have got the victory, but he got fucking as axed as you can ever get on the backdoor end section trying to dog it all that thing. Shades of the great self-sacrificing samurai Shinpei.
Did you see? I was waiting when they showed the slow-mo for his body to hoy. I was waiting for the big body bounce just appearing out of the wash. He got so guillotined there, Smithy.
Oh.
Guillotined, mate.
Harrowing. And then, George then knocks his teenage, highly paid sparring partner, Kanoa Igarashi, in the very next heat with an insane buzzer beater. I mean, of all the moments that had me up and about, this was one. Unbelievable. He took advantage of a bizarre brain explosion by Kanoa right at the death. Kanoa, he controlled the whole heat right up to the final exchange, where he uses priority on a backdoor freight train to keep George off it, only to straighten out and not pack it.
Snake Lips, who
he had a conniption on the beach.
Invented the fucking last second buzzer beater. Probably the most overachieving, highly fucking honoured surfer ever on tour. And I mean that with deep respect, but he was a fucking grit merch until the last second. Sitting in his little deck chair, just like he has no hair to rip out. I guaranteed he ripped his beard out. He'd just be sitting there just like ripping whatever beard was left. It was a fucking monumental melt from Igarashi.
It was like the polar opposite to Snake's Pipe Masters final against Bruce Irons. It was the exact opposite.
Get it wrong.
And George is on the very next wave. Gets a nice clutch backdoor cone right behind Kanoa for a 7.3 and the win announced on the beach. Absolutely sprayed the Groms with profanity, whose signatures he was signing. Fuck yeah! Those poor little Chris O'Groms that used to be ringing for weeks. It was very spiritual pipeline on that day, where any glitch or unnecessary gamesmanship or lack of dedication to Mother Pipeline went fully punished. Yeah. And that was a great example. And
and the judges as well, just like punishing Kanoa with I thought the score was the score anyway, but just making sure that just like going, what's that? You just took off, blocked, didn't even pack it, proned out. Just a big old boogie wiped on his rashy.
And mate, speaking of stiff arms to the chin, Joel Vaughan's stiff arm from the backdoor closeout. I have it on good authority that George Pitar actually went all right in the footy field back in the day. And Yeah, once found himself as the last man standing defending the try line against a rampaging Joseph Suoliti after making a clean line break and accelerating towards him. And look, from all reports, didn't manage to save the try, but the important thing is he didn't shirk it, and the groundsmen were onto it with their shovels and able to rip him out of the turf by his feet before he suffocated.
That's a true story.
Yeah, that's a true story.
He actually was the last man had to tackle Joseph Suoliti.
Suoliti, yeah.
The guy who laid out Reese, fuck, what's his name?
Reese Walsh.
Reese Walsh. Jeez, I keep wanting to say Robson.
Copped 13 knees to the chin before he hit the deck, apparently. Rough. But,
you've seen the frame on the guy.
He's all dick ribs and dangy. Georgie Pitter. But yeah, fuck, he's got grit, mate. Plenty of grit.
He does.
And who else was there? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me. What's your biggest story and biggest surprise from this event, Smithy? Because I got a couple. What's yours?
Well, it shouldn't be a surprise, but it was definitely the biggest story for me. It was Kelly Slater, almost 53 years old.
Yeah.
Has no right to be doing the surfing he's doing in the kind of waves that can easily kill you. He was unbelievable in this contest. You know, just when you think the ship has sailed on his elite surfing career, he shows up and blows up in the most challenging and consequential conditions possible. Really amazing performance, like to get the better of Rio, a solid performance anyway. His ability to manufacture risk and add showmanship and theatre was on show in that heat. But yeah, it was all about that backdoor chamber, the 933, one of the best waves of the event, to knock Ethan Ewan, the world number 4, out of the event. Mate, it's just crazy that these guys can so confidently turn and burn it and keep their composure under the full might of the Pacific like that. It blows my mind. It'll never not blow my mind. Maximus
Decimus Meridius. That's who he is, mate. He plays the crowd. He doesn't just go out there and slaughter them. He toys with them. He gives the fucking bloodlust of the crew up in the Coliseum plenty to cheer for. It's on top of just his performance. His performance was as timeless as any GOAT performance at Backdoor. Like, everything he did was so sick. Like, his backside tube riding as elite as anyone on tour. Maybe not as sort of critical as your Barrons and your Vortex and your John Johns now, but still right amongst that conversation rather than the rest of the field. But man, he fucking beat Sammy Pupo and Idolo Higuera in the first round. Like, grandkids, mate.
Yeah, and that was marginal.
Fucking marginal surf. He gets out there and just does a job on those guys. Dispatches world champs, genuine world title contenders. Rio Wider, like a kid who probably is young enough to be his kid's kid. Amazing, man. And just a couple of other non-comp related surprises with the GOAT. The name of his son dropped. Tao was how it's pronounced, but I believe it's spelt T-A-O, as in go with nature, which is my philosophy for the year, Smithy. So is that a doff to the Swellians? Has there been listening in, hearing about us talking about Taoism, going with nature, you know, letting the flow of life outside of the rashi and the constructs of this imaginary existence passing by and just being in a total state of flow and in sync with this universe that we inhabit in this lifetime and the one before?
I think there is little doubt that we live rent-free in the GOAT's mind.
Yeah.
And for sure, I'm going to definitely take some responsibility for influencing Slater's trajectory.
If you have any doubts, listen to this.
And WSL, thanks for giving me the wild card, and hopefully I get another one someday.
That is a direct quote, my friend. That is a direct quote from the GOAT, bookending the very same quote that he uses in our introduction to every single Ain't That Swell episode in the last 10, 15 years.
Hopefully I get another one someday.
Man, that's at the very end of his career, at the very start of his career. That is a doff, 100% to the Swellian army, to the Swellians. If you think the GOAT is looking for motivation, look no further than yourself, Swellians, because he is tapped in to our mana, our energy, and hopefully he'll be back for a live show sometime in Australia.
Mate, and the guy he sent out of the event, Rio Wider. I mean, not only did he send him out of the event, I think he sent him straight to the ayahuasca bowl, judging by this insanely philosophical Instagram post that Rio put up after losing. I loved this. Speaking of Tao and Alan Watts and
Ram Dass and the boys.
This is what he had to say after losing to the GOAT. When you are constantly rushing in life, you are never truly present. No matter how much you attain through rushing, it will never be enough for the ego. You will always be in a state of chasing something outside of yourself, and that will leave you with a feeling of emptiness in the end. Ask yourself, what's the rush? Life can only be lived one moment at a time, so why keep rushing and never fully be present? When you drop the rush, you can start operating from a higher consciousness, and whatever you do from that space will make you feel more inspired. The ego is always in a rush, but the spirit is patient, calm, and free. Drop the rush, just slow down and be present.
Be a human being, not a human doing. Smithy? To quote the great.
And get a couple more fucking heat wins, Rio. Come on, mate.
Come
You're
on,
going to
bro.
be on the chopping
Fucking
block
hell,
soon,
mate. Yeah,
brother.
you need to rush it
Speed
up a little bit,
bit.
bro. You're going to lose your quickie contract, bro. That's real nice.
Was
That's
nice.
real nice.
Far as bigger stories go too, Vaughan, TW,
Oh,
Tyler
of
Wright,
course.
breaking through for her first CT win in a while. And yeah, just when you thought the guard had changed, the veteran, she gets it done. She's a specialist at backdoor. She's grown up surfing South Coast slabs, very reminiscent of backdoor at this size. And she's got two absolute psychopaths as brothers calling her into nugs galore. Yeah. Put on a bit of a clinic to dispatch Lakey Peterson in the semis and then scrapped out a win in the final with a 6 and a 1 to win a pipe trophy. Not exactly the numbers you want to be cashing in, but a very slow heat.
But also surfed so good through the comp, like rock solid. Power base that did make the kids look like kids. Like her frontside hacks, the speed out of the lip. There was a lot of real foundation surfing that really looks good for Tyler for this year, Smithy, that I loved. But more than anything, I just think we all need to actually just take a step back and doff the cap to this Swellian queen, dude. She is such a powerhouse. She is such a strong, fucking just epic role model, like, and a really, like, solid human being these days, man. Like, think about, like, the way she goes about her business. Like, she stands up for what she believes in. Her values are completely uncompromising. Like, she says what she wants for what? For no other reason than that's what she believes in. Like, she's got nothing to gain. In fact, more often than not, if she makes a statement or a stand, the whole surfing world starts piling on with fucking save it for some other platform. We don't want to mix this with sport. And they're all like, she's constantly getting sort of piled on. And I don't know why, mate. Like, don't we want our fucking heroes to have a bit of backbone and to do the Tommy Carroll fucking apartheid fucking, you know, what is that? Like, what do you call that? When you don't go and you fucking brush it? Boycotts. You want your fucking stars and your heroes to have some backbone in life as well as in a fucking heat. Yeah, she'll talk about fucking what she's going through and be completely open and honest and vulnerable. I just don't see any other fucking reason to not celebrate her. Like, she's a ledge. And she's in the classic mold of your Jodie Coopers and your fucking Lane Beachleys and the women that we really put on a pedestal on this program. And I think in the last 2, 3, 4 years, she's been dealing with a lot of actual physical challenges, injuries, like a lot of mental stuff that she's worked hard on. Fuck, man, I just think Doff, big time Doff, so good to see her back in the winner's circle. And what can she do now that she's found winning form? Like the days of, like, you know, this whole conversation, this narrative of this new guard coming in, she's ready to flex on that. She looks ready, and I think she's, I just wanted to give her a good, solid shout-out because I fucking love TW, and I reckon she's a ledge.
Yeah, it's been an amazing comeback since that mystery illness, and seeing the person she's developed into since then, I couldn't help but wonder whether that mystery virus was in fact the woke mind virus that she might have gone down with.
Well, you never know, but I mean,
she's come good from it.
She is. She just looks rock solid. She looks tough. And I'm backing her to do really good stuff this year. Cloudbreak at the end of the year, Smithy. You've seen her out there. She's got one of the all-time, even it'd have to be in the top 2 best ever women's rides out there. No hands backside pit through Shishkis, and it's a full throaty drainer, and she just fucking totally nails it, man.
P-Pass, Cloud Break, she has
She
packed
will
it
send. She will send.
like few other women on planet Earth.
Yep.
Pure Meltthorn, I actually had Katie Simmers in the final. She did everything right to find herself with priority in the final stages of that heat. Needed only a 4, and the wave came to her. But rather than safety it, she went super deep, didn't get the make. You know, sick that she wouldn't compromise and wanted the kind of purest line and get deep in that thing. But far out, like, when the pipe title's on the line, sometimes you've just got to safety it and get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like that was just a lackluster final with not a whole lot going on, but my pure melt is just Kanoa Igarashi all day long, bro. What the fuck was he thinking? He had like 30 seconds on the clock, has priority. That wave, it had a section. You could hear the commentators going, what's he doing? He's proning out. Like, it had a big chamber on the end. Like, even if it pinches, at least he's had a fucking crack. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, of all, like, you know when you fucked up when you're a grommet and you've got to go and face your parents? You know when you're walking towards the front door and you know you're going to open the door and your mum's going to be there with your arms crossed tapping her foot? That's what Kanoa was coming in, and Snake Lips was mum. Wooden spoon in the hand, ready to start fucking thrashing. I just don't understand it, man. I don't understand our Snake. Like, what does he say to Kanoa in this exact moment where he fights and scraps for every fucking opportunity to win, and he just sees his charger just give it away like that?
Mate, it's an interesting thing to consider. Like, imagine if Gorge and Kanoa's situations are flipped. Like, so if Kanoa is the guy who doesn't have the good funding from the surf industry, you know, if he's doing it tough and he's trying to make a name for himself, do you reckon he's not packing that thing? Like, is this the classic kind of Marvin Hagler quote about boxing where, you know, it becomes hard to get yourself out of bed at 4 a.m. when you're sleeping in silk sheets scenario? Like,
is that where Medina's at now?
He's
Like,
gone a bit soft,
yeah,
and just didn't want it that bad. That's why he didn't pack that thing. Like, he if there is one thing about Kanoa, it's that, there is a bit of a question mark about his grit in waves of consequence. There's been a bit of a vulnerability exposed over these, these
you know
past
what
few
it is,
years.
man? Remember when he surfed
High
that
pressure-
heat at Chopes against Griffin, and they were both going for the last spot in the final 5 or whatever? That's when it finally appeared. But in that case, at Pipe, it was such a mind snap that I couldn't believe what I was watching. And it does seem to come down to maybe entitlement. Like, did he just think, fuck, I've got this in the bag, I'm heading in? Like, is that a side effect of just being so comfortable and never really having to fight tooth and nail for your career? Because those guys are good enough where they don't really fear the cut that much, but not good enough to get the world title. It's a weird space, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, we've seen it before. You know, and no disrespect, because they're fucking accomplished legends with multiple titles, but Julian Wilson and Geordie Smith and these guys who were on the biggest coin in the world, Kanoa is in that combo. Just what's that missing ingredient that doesn't get him the world title? They have wins,
being
famous
pampered.
wins, incredible surf. Well, what else can
has
it
to
be?
Yeah, totally. And I also just want to acknowledge that Joel Vaughan's big victim in this event was Geordie Smith at pumping
That's
backdoor,
right.
a guy who has a house on the beach at Pipe, getting done up by a North Shelley grip merchant who's living in a fucking dog kennel somewhere there in the dunes. And
it's just it's to say nothing of their personalities on the land or any thing about their surfing. It's just an ingredient that just is. It's that 0.01% that the fucking grip merchants have, dude.
Totally. The want, mate. It's everything in sport at that level. It really is. It's so important. What does it all mean? It means the bar's been raised and the Was is off to an absolute flyer. With a hell of a schedule this year too.
Back to back, Smithy.
Yeah, finishing up at Cloud Break. Obviously, J-Bay, Tahiti, Trestles all in the mix. And surely we can't get a skunked.
Dude, it's
last
4
year's
days until Abu Dhabi
snapper.
starts, bro. 4 days. And that's the story of this tour. It's just on skis, man. And like that's how you earn your big break in the off season. But to me, that is fucking shocking. When I was like doing a bit of research before, I was like, that says 4 days. The countdown's already ticking down. I'm getting nervous. Yeah, what does it all mean? Like the top 10 men's is the fucking biggest bag of licorice all sorts I've laid eyes on in years, man. I know it's only one comp and, you know, like you have your ups and downs and I'm sure it'll settle into its traditional sort of cream rising to the top. But it is a fucking wild-looking top 10 right now. 4 Brazilians, 2 Hawaiians, and then 1 Aussie. That's Georgie Patar, the lone Aussie in the top 10. 1 Italian, second in the world right now. 1 mainland American in Jake Marshall. And what's the other country? Japanese.
And a Hawaiian.
Yeah, well, 2 Hawaiians. Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. But fucking come on, Australia. Pull your fucking fingers out of your coit. Time to get moving. Jeez, I think Ethan could be a real good start at this Abu Dhabi comp. But speaking of which, mate. Oh, and sorry, yeah, the women's. Just good to see, you know, there's a little bit of vet muscle flexing back on these whippersnappers, not letting them have it all their own way. Mate, we've got a fantasy league, Smithy. It's called Blitzed, Pure Tour Nerdism. 349 people got the call up in the or saw the post and jumped on board. That's sick.
That's a
Fucking
massive
frothy.
league. Yeah, $2,000 up for grabs,
$2
right?
grand in Billabong Bonkron for the winner. And I want to give a shout out to our pipe winner. That is none other than Cardiff Crawl, mate. I don't know if he's Welsh. I don't know if that's a swimming stroke that they've adopted from the Australian crawl over there in Cardiff. Some sort of like weird pond toad.
I think he's from Southern California. And I think that's the move you pull.
Oh,
when
it's
you,
that Cardiff.
when you're exiting the dive bar.
Bro,
It's the Cardiff
I was thinking
Crawl.
of Wales. That's classic. Cardiff by the Seas. That's Bashardo's
I'm guessing,
hometown,
but
isn't it?
yeah.
All right. Well, that's.
I've done the Cardiff Crawl after one of them hydro cones and a couple too many tequila shots.
That's what it must be, right?
Crawling out of the dive bar.
Just yeah.
Puking your guts up.
Well done, mate. He's way out in the lead. M. Nothing but non-stop rock, Smithy, in second. And Philip Loves Slabs in third. On your Phil.
It's definitely not puckered, Phil, is it?
It definitely is not puckered Phil if he loves slabs. Yeah, $2,000 worth of Bonkron. Keep the picks coming in. And I, Smithy, am coming out of the 349. I'm coming 344th, bro. The fucking expertise just eats shit. I will say this. I gave Snake Lips a buzz and I said, hey, I'm coming into Snake Tails. I've entered Snake Tails as well. I'm actually coming 54,000 somewhere way down the tail end of the actual total rankings. But he said to me, he goes, Deadly, just vote with your head and not your heart and you'll be right, mate. And so that fucked me. I just went into this, what am I doing? And I ended up trying to get clever, like too clever, when everything I do, Smithy, comes from the fucking the chi, mate, or this, you know, the heart fucking chakra. And it sent me on a spin. I had an absolute shocker. So from now on, it's just all heart, no head. I'm just going with everything that I feel and believe is the truth, brother. And I'm going to climb off that canvas, mate.
Well played.
Are you going to join? You going to join?
Yeah, I'll tap in. I'm spewing. I missed the opening salvo there, but I'll be in for round 2.
Yeah, all right, mate. Well, good stuff, Smithy. Good to have Blitz back, mate. Big thanks to Dometic for presenting the show.
Good to have Was back.
Go Was!
Competition surfing. Rashes. Yeah. Baby, I can't get enough. Blitz. Make that swell presents.
Pure Tour Nerdism.